So before this video starts, as I always do, a little intro. I tried to use a different recording software for the audio, and I don't know if it's better than the last time. So let me know if you like the current one more, or if you like the last audio more. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Cold. That was all he felt. Pure cold, followed by a piercing pain. A pain unlike anything ever endured before. He had no name, no purpose, at least none he could remember, yet memories of ancient times stirred within his mind. He had once been a wealthy man. He had servants, a wedded wife and 4 children, 3 sons and a daughter, though their names escaped him. They lived in a grand house at the edge of the city of Nirvan, the marble capital of Riches. They had lived happily, sustained by the trade of a valuable commodity he could no longer recall. He had also been a close friend to the emperor-crowned king, whose name he, too, had forgotten, for he had been trapped in this cold for so long. The king often held celebrations whenever great discoveries were made, for the city of Nirvan itself had once been such a discovery, found by the oldest known ancestor of the current king, and the very reason why the emperor personally crowned each member of his bloodline. During a walk, the ground beneath the frozen man's feet collapsed, revealing a hollow, no natural cavern, but one carved by hands. At first, individual points shimmered in a beautiful blue, but as his eyes adjusted to the darkness, horror was quite literally written across his face. The blue points revealed themselves to be beautiful shapes, though he could no longer remember what those shapes truly were. But he remembered the corpses. The enormous, frozen corpses, whose bodies were adorned with those blue shapes, though not as the ancient Egyptians once adorned their dead. These blue forms overgrew the massive bodies like fungi, spreading across a tree. It was both unsettling and mesmerizing. When he was finally rescued from the hollow, he immediately told the emperor-crowned king of his discovery and voiced his concerns. Yet, when his close friend beheld the shimmering blue forms, it was only their value that seemed to interest him. Thus, by order of the emperor-crowned king, he and his family sold the shapes, at least that much the Nameless One could still remember. This became his purpose. He brought the shimmering blue shapes into circulation and grew wealthy. Months passed, and the supply of the forms dwindled. Selling the blue shapes was his calling. It sustained his life as well as that of his entire family, his wedded wife and 4 children. But when he entrusted this information to his close friend, panic took hold of the king, for the blue forms glittered so beautifully. Of course, the Nameless One immediately realized that his friend cared more for the gold the kingdom earned through them. Not wishing to disappoint his ruler, he resolved to search for more hollows. Yet, even after a month, he found nothing. 3 months passed, and the emperor-crowned king grew furious over the loss of the shimmering blue forms that had made his kingdom wealthy and renowned. Rumors spread that other kingdoms already possessed many times more of the blue forms. Though they were mere rumors, they drove the king mad. In his agitation, he demanded the immediate delivery of more forms, declaring any sacrifice justified. That was when an idea came to the Nameless one that made his very soul shudder. At night, he plundered the graves of the dead and brought the corpses into the hollow. A day later, his hope was fulfilled. The bodies were covered in small blue forms, shimmering brilliantly. When he showed the replenished supply to the emperor-crowned king, his close friend rewarded him with the title of Royal Discoverer, a title that elevated him to a man of science, even after he learned the morbid truth behind the origin of the blue forms. And so he cultivated the shimmering blue forms upon the dead of Nirvan. But his success was not to last. One day, a knock sounded at the Nameless One's door. A furious mob broke into his home as soon as he opened the barrier between them. They dragged him from his house in his nightwear and brought him to the Hollow, where they confronted him. The Nameless One explained his actions and claimed that any sacrifice had been justified in the king's name. His title as Royal Discoverer stood as proof of the ruler's blessing. But the citizens of Nirvan had only learned the truth through the king's public notices. Stunned by the betrayal, the Nameless One demanded to speak with his close friend. No one answered his plea, for a guard of the royal family stood witness to his punishment. They bound the Nameless One with ropes, blindfolded him and threw him into the Hollow, casting after him every remaining shimmering blue form in the kingdom. For days, the act of the Emperor-crowned king consumed the Nameless One. Days during which he felt the blue forms grow upon and within his mortal body. A freezing pain spread through his flesh, as though he were being burned with ice, unbearable even for the discoverer of the forms. What had become of his family? And what of the forms? Why was his work punished when it had brought such wealth? More time passed, and the Nameless One became certain he had already crossed into the afterlife. After what felt like ages, the creator of the shimmering blue forms revealed itself, a formless deity from another world. The god offered him a choice: eternal icy torment or everlasting servitude. He hesitated, but in the end, he chose. Cold. That was all he felt. Pure cold, followed by a piercing pain. A pain unlike anything ever endured before. The blue forms faded, leaving only bluish, shimmering skin as testimony to his long torment and the madness spreading behind his eyes. He would never see the blue forms again, and that brought him comfort. The cold remained. It grew stronger than ever, but he no longer cared. The Nameless One became the awakened of the blue.
The new killer is called The Awakened. The Awakened is described as follows. The Awakened has wrinkled, pale, bluish skin. His lips are almost colorless, with a slight blue shimmer, and his high cheekbones are clearly visible through the thin skin. His aged body is littered with scars where the glittering blue shapes once grew. Dressed in his beige nightgown, the Awakened roams the hunting grounds of the entity barefoot. Due to the torments he suffered and his advanced age, the Awakened walks hunched over, leaning on a long staff of ice that has frozen onto his hand. As a weapon, the Awakened uses the blindfold with which he was once thrown into the Hollow, frozen by the cold of the blue shapes, and sharpened by him into a misshapen stabbing weapon, a true one-of-a-kind among the killer's tools. This new killer comes with the ability Royal Winter. Hold the right mouse button to place an ice trail beneath you, freezing even blades of grass into razor-sharp edges. When survivors run through frozen grass, they suffer from the Bloody Feet status effect until 10 seconds after leaving the area and begin charging temperature drop. If no grass is present, the ground freezes into a sheet of ice from which small ice spikes emerge, causing the same effect. Bloody Feet is a new status effect which causes healthy survivors to leave trails of blood behind. Press Ctrl while standing on an ice trail to dive into the cold and rapidly traverse your hunting grounds. While cold swimming is active, it grants you the undetectable status effect, increases your movement speed to 130%, however it disables the ability to see survivor auras. But it charges the special event temperature drop. Press again Ctrl to surface. An ice trail has a maximum length of 50 meters. Up to 150 meters of ice trails can be placed in total, but only 6 ice trails may exist at the same time. When this limit is exceeded, the oldest trail disappears. The longer a placed trail is, the longer the cooldown required before a new trail of maximum length can be created. Then we have the special event, called temperature drop. Once sufficient contact with ice trails has been made, temperature drop activates for 60 seconds. During this time, all survivors suffer from the icy presence ability. Additionally, the method of placing ice trails changes. Hold the right mouse button to fire an ice beam from your staff, which can create ice trails at a distance of up to 15 meters. If a survivor is directly hit by the ice beam, cold begins to build up. Upon fully building cold after 3 seconds of continuous exposure, the survivor loses 1 health state. Cold slowly recedes after 10 seconds without exposure. Last but not least, we got the passive ability, Icy Presence. The breath of survivors within a 32-meter radius around you begins to freeze. If a freezing survivor runs across an ice trail, their breathing sounds are amplified by 40% for 30 seconds. The add-ons for this power can be divided into 4 sectors. Those allowing him more trails or longer trails, those making temperature drop more accessible to the killer, those making cold swimming more dangerous and pose a bigger threat towards survivors, and those making cold very lethal during temperature drop. 2 of his more standout add-ons are definitely Frosty Eyes, which causes the aura of the generator with the most progress to be revealed in yellow for 10 seconds after exiting cold swimming, something that you can do on the run many times a trial, and the second add-on being Dangerous Snowballs, which causes injured survivors to suffer from broken while temperature drop is active, meaning that survivors have to watch out even more for your ranged attack that you can use during this special event. Then we get to the visceral add-ons. Half of a blue form is the first one, and this one grants you a 15% haste effect for 7 seconds after injuring a survivor through cold, something that you can only do during temperature drop. Ending cold swimming during temperature drop also grants you undetectable for 10 seconds. The second add-on is Shimmering Skin. When temperature drop begins, the auras of all survivors are revealed for 12 seconds, however, your aura is being revealed for 6 seconds once temperature drop ends. A risk and reward add-on which grants you information, however, gives away your position as soon as your power spike is over. The Awakened comes with 3 teachable perks, the first being Cold Determination. This perk activates once 3 generators have been repaired. Successful basic attacks grant a 30% bonus speed to the next destruction of a pallet or breakable wall or the next generator damage action for 7, 10 or 13 seconds. If this effect is not consumed, the aura of the survivor who triggered the effect is revealed to you for 5 seconds. The increased action speed is not able to be stacked, however. This perk gives you a decision to make. Either you take the action speed and break a breakable wall, or destroy a pallet, or kick a generator, or you wait out the effect and get a 5-second aura reading on the survivor, which, depending on which killer you use, might be very helpful, for example on the Pyramid Head. The second perk is called Traumatic Deceit. Gain the undetectable status effect at the beginning of the trial for 30, 35 or 40 seconds. Traumatic Deceit is deactivated when a survivor reaches the dying state. Now the idea with this perk is to have a strong early game perk
that gives you the ability to move in on survivors, even on killers that have no base kit, stealth kit, like, for example, Wraith. So that you might just have an early chase without any survivor pre-running you, and of course, give you an alternative to Corrupt Intervention, although Corrupt Intervention is probably still stronger as a perk, but it gives you some alternative. The third perk is called Emotionless. After being stunned 4, 3 or 2 times, this perk charges up. The next successful basic attack activates Emotionless for 60 seconds. During this time, all basic attacks inflict the broken status effect for 30 seconds. The idea with this perk is that you use it on killers able to use hit and run, but also use mainly basic attacks. So using this on Nurse or Blight won't give you much. However, using this on a Wraith, using this on a Sadako, a Ghostface, maybe even a Trapper, might be very, very good and comfortable for you, as they cannot heal instantly but have to wait out the 30 seconds of broken. Maybe there's some good combos to do with other perks as well. The way with which the Awakened kills is as follows. The Awakened thrusts his staff into the survivor's back, injecting the power of the shimmering blue shapes into the victim. The survivor's skin begins to glow blue at various spots. Within the survivor, these shapes start to grow and stretch the body in different areas until all internal organs and bones are destroyed by the growth of the shapes. Subsequently, the survivor ceases all movement and dies. The shapes do not protrude outwards, ensuring their nature remains mysterious. Last but not least, we come to the map. The Nirvan Sanctuary, set on Ormond. The corruption of the shimmering blue forms led to the downfall of Rishis. A scapegoat was indeed punished, but the damage was already done. Now, only an abandoned refuge remains from the once marble capital of Rishis, snowed in and littered with bodies, filled with growing, shimmering blue shapes. The refuge is surrounded by marble walls, allowing only a few glimpses into the cold city beyond. Individual fires still burn brightly, providing a final spark of hope for any potential survivors. Mounds of snow and toppled marble columns offer barriers between the innocent and the monsters hunting them. In the center lies a small marble building, within which the blue skeleton of the now deceased emperor-crowned king sits atop a pile of bodies, a truly deserved final throne for king without kingdom. Right behind it, there's a potential spot for a basement. Next to the dead king's hall, the ground bloated and ruptured like a gluttonous beast's belly, revealing a secret farm for blue forms. Only a few ways lead down into the small valley, which in contrast to the surrounding area is devoid of snow. A small marble shack also offers room for a basement, a trail of blood leading directly to the potential staircase. And that's the end of this little chapter, Freezing Awakening. One of the first 13 chapters I did. It is in my personal volume 1, you could say. And I had to redo a big part of this chapter. Like the power had to be redone a lot. I still kept a lot of the ideas that I had back then. But maybe it's kind of obvious that this is one of the more early chapters I created. It had the idea of a Lovecraftian setting. That's why you have like a marble city. And when you look into the add-ons, you might just see a few references here and there. Anyway, I already have my mind set on the next chapter because I have to completely create it. It's going to be one of the newer chapters pretty much. But I definitely have my mind set on that. So the next video might just take a tad bit longer. This one took longer as well, as I got sick in the middle of it. I really have to
say excuse me. um Anyway, I hope you liked the video. As I said, I used a new audio program. I used Audacity instead of just recording everything with OBS, as I do right now. And I gotta say, it was. I have to learn how to use Audacity, obviously. Tell me if you like this one more, or if you like my voice right now more. I can't really tell. Um, yeah, so hope you enjoyed it. Leave your opinions on everything in the comments. It's definitely not a perfect chapter, I know that, but I still hope we have at least some ideas that were pretty cool. Um, yeah, and if you have any questions, go on and ask. Other than that, I see you in the next video, which is hopefully gonna be amazing.